Intro to Python Debugging. In this video you are going to learn all about the different ways to debug a script in Python, but first, what is Python? Python is a high-level, interpreted programming language that's widely used for a variety of applications. It was first released in 1991, and since then it has become one of the most popular programming languages in the world. What makes Python special is that it's designed to be easy to read and write, making it a great choice for beginners who are just starting to learn to code. Python's syntax is straightforward, and it has a large library of pre-written code that you can use to get up and running quickly. With Python, you can write code for a wide range of applications, from simple scripts for automating tasks to complex web applications and scientific computing. Some of the most popular uses for Python include web development, data analysis, machine learning, and game development. One of the great things about Python is that it has a large and supportive community of users and developers who are always working to make the language better. This means that if you run into a problem or have a question, there's a good chance someone has already encountered the same issue and has written about it online. Overall, Python is a great choice for anyone who wants to start learning to code, or for anyone who needs a flexible and powerful programming language for their projects. So without further ado, let's get into it. Imagine you and a friend are working on a project together and you need to debug some code. Debugging is essentially fixing errors or problems in the code so it runs correctly. Print statements. In Python, you have a few options to help with debugging. For example, you can use print statements to check the output of certain parts of your code and make sure they're producing the right results. A print statement in Python is a basic debugging tool that allows you to output text or the value of variables to the console. It's a simple way to check if the values of your variables are what you expect them to be, or to output information for debugging purposes. Here's an example of how you might use a print statement in your code. When you run the above code, the console will display the following output. You can use print statements to debug your code by outputting values at different stages of your program, allowing you to see exactly what's happening and identify any problems. They're a quick and easy way to see what's going on with your code, making them a great starting point for debugging. Assert statements. Another way to debug is to use assert statements. With assert, you can specify a condition that you expect to be true, and if it's not, the program will raise an error and stop running. This helps you pinpoint exactly where the problem is. An assert statement in Python is a debugging tool that allows you to check if a condition is true and raise an error if it's not. It's a way of making sure that certain conditions are met and that the program is running as expected. Here's an example of how you might use an assert statement in your code. In this example, the assert statement checks if b is equal to 0, and if it is, the statement raises an error and stops the program with the message, "cannot divide by 0. If b is not 0, the program continues to run normally and outputs the result of the division. When you run the above code, the console will display the following output. Assert statements are a useful way to validate the inputs to your program and make sure they meet certain conditions. They help you identify problems early in the development process, making it easier to debug and fix your code. If the condition in an assert statement is not met, the program will stop running, giving you a clear error message that you can use to find and fix the problem. PDB module. If you need to go deeper and step through the code line by line, you can use the PDB module, which stands for Python Debugger. This allows you to pause the program, inspect the values of variables, and move through the code incrementally. The PDB module in Python is a debugger that allows you to step through your code line by line and inspect the values of variables at each step. This makes it easy to find problems in your code and debug it effectively. Here's an example of how you might use the PDB module in your code. In this example, the line import pdb.set_trace, sets a breakpoint in the code, and when you run the program, it will stop at this point and enter the PDB debugger. From here, you can inspect the values of variables, step through the code line by line, and make changes to the values of variables if needed. The PDB debugger is a powerful tool for debugging Python code, and it provides a wealth of information about your program state, including the values of variables, the call stack, and more. To use PDB, you'll need to be familiar with the basic commands for controlling the debugger, such as N to go to the next line, C to continue running the program, and Q to quit the debugger. With these basic commands, you'll be able to debug your code effectively and find and fix problems quickly. Integrated Development Environment (IDE). Finally, you can also use your IDE's debugger. This allows you to set breakpoints in your code and step through it line by line to identify any issues. A breakpoint in Python is a line of code where the execution of a program will stop and enter into the debugger. This allows you to inspect the state of the program at that point and step through the code line by line to find and debug problems. You can set a breakpoint in your code using the breakpoint function, which was introduced in Python 3.7. Here's an example of how you might use a breakpoint in your code. In this example, the line breakpoint sets a breakpoint in the code, and when you run the program, it will stop at this point and enter the debugger. From here, you can inspect the values of variables, step through the code line by line, and make changes to the values of variables if needed. Breakpoint is a convenient and easy way to set breakpoints in your code, and it's especially useful if you're new to debugging in Python. It's a good starting point for debugging your code, and once you're familiar with the basics, you can move on to more advanced debugging tools like ipdb. These are just a few of the tools you can use to debug your Python code. By using these techniques, you'll be able to quickly find and fix any problems in your code, so your project can run smoothly. Hey there, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single upload. And with every new video, you'll be the first to know and be able to join in on all the fun. So what are you waiting for? Click that button and let's make this a regular hangout spot. Thanks for watching.